Good evening. Here we are. We are on Wednesday, November 7 at 10 p.m. Holland time. Who is online? Give a sign. Hello, Edward and Art and Robert. Okay, here we are. We have some friends. I will do this talk in English as I used to because some people from other countries may join. And afterwards, this video, as a live video uh, can, um, will be posted on this timeline, wall, however you call it. Hello, Danny. Hello, Ruben and Willem and Louis. Very nice to see your names. You can interact in a way by posting your remarks or questions. I announced that this talk will be about honor. Um, it's like this. Um, Honor is like the other side, the counterpart of dishonor or shame, right? When you accept or embrace or acknowledge or confirm your failures, your misdeeds, your mistakes. In short, when you admit or confirm your feelings of shame, then you have access to honor. If you make a mistake and you admit to it, then you won't have to make that mistake again because you recognized it as a mistake. And from having recognized your mistake, you derive honor. Wow, I made a mistake. Wow, I won't do that again. So you feel proud. But if you refuse to do so, you don't want to admit your mistake. It can be in any field. It can be that you get a bad grade in school and you don't want to admit to it, um, or other failures or mistakes. If you don't admit it, you cannot learn from it. You will exclude it instead of include it. And you will not be proud of having achieved a moment of learning. Oh, I need to watch out next time, not do this. Wow, I have grown. I'm wiser now for knowing that that kind of thing doesn't give me the result that I want. So from learning, you get pride and you restore or you maintain your honor. From not learning, you go down. From not learning, you get depressed because you may see other people or even animals or trees succeeding, and you are focused on this mistake that you made, and you can't get past that. So the strange thing is that by admitting your mistakes, by regularly and honestly admitting your mistakes, you maintain a level of value for yourself, a level of honor and pride. And when you are a person who is proud of his achievements, not arrogant, but proud of his achievements, then you are able to give of yourself, to help people, to assist them, to give good advice to other people, because you know your own value and you can share of it with other people. It doesn't cost you anything. And the same applies to whole groups of people. If a nation admits to its failures, be they in the arena of its economy or in the arena of the relationships between the people or the parties or the segments in a population, in a country, if they admit to their failure, they gain the energy, the motivation to do good things, to progress, to find solutions, to work together. If, on the other hand, they're ashamed about their failure, this energy of self-appreciation, of pride, is not available. And it will be augmenting until the country or the society literally falls apart, and then they need a dictator, and a war and all kinds of things to learn that they pulled themselves down instead of pushing themselves up. And this is a very strange thing. It's sort of counter-natural. It's counterintuitive. In order to go up, you have to recognize and acknowledge that you're going down. It's very strange, but that's how it is. So there is great opportunity in failing. The moments of failure and of mistake have a great potential to recognize that you are on a learning curve. Oh, I did this wrong, or we did this wrong. Wow, that's great. Now we know what not to do. Then you go up towards, being successful in your economy or in your relationships or whatever it be. This is an interesting thing, and I have the impression that this is not taught in our institutions and in our companies, that the best thing to succeed, the best support for you to succeed is to fail, because that activates you when you're honest that it's a failure. It activates you to move on and to succeed. Okay. I have talked for 10 minutes. Fantastic. Any questions? Any questions? Yes. Thank you very much. Edward says, I have had people who I have hosted people who had no home and no money and no food. Great. So that's a strange thing, and of course, this is something that we as a society or as humanity need to learn. We can learn most from our mistakes, and there are whole countries. I don't want to get into that at this point, but there are whole countries who refuse to admit their collective mistakes. Therefore, they have no pride, they have no positive energy to discover new things, to make new mistakes and learn from them again. The big inventions in history come from making mistakes. I mean, Ian Fleming, penicillin was a mistake. And it's well known that the electric bulb um, was the result of 1,999 mistakes by Mr. Edison. Almost 2,000 times he failed to get an electric current run through this little wire in the vacuum tube. It was the wrong wire until he got the right wire after 2,000 mistakes. If he had given up, we wouldn't have electric light, or at least we wouldn't have had it at the time that he invented it. So this is a very strange thing to understand, that when you're failing, you're on the path towards success. It doesn't mean that you as a person or as a society are bad or wrong. No, it just means that you're on a learning curve. Oh, this doesn't work. Great. Let's try again with a slightly different, And then this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And then at some point you get how it works. There is this idea that you must know everything. I have this, that I must know everything ahead of time. I must have the whole world under control. I'm not allowed to fail. Well, guess what? That is a recipe for failure, because you can't know everything. You can't know what will happen in 5 minutes, or you can't know ahead of time the result of this particular action, which you hadn't done before, or what will happen on this particular day. This day is brand new. How can you know what will happen today? So this idea, I'm not allowed to fail, is a recipe for disaster. Whereas the opposite, I welcome failure, that's fine, is a recipe for success. It's strange, isn't it? But that's how it works. And of course, my theme, or the thing that I'm very interested in, is this seeming world of opposites, the past and the future, and the bad and the good, and all these things. Well, these opposites are abstract. The whole idea of opposite is an abstract idea, or conflicting feelings. The conflict between the feeling sad and the feeling glad, the conflict between them is abstract. There is no concrete difference between them. They are two sides of one coin. By acknowledging that I feel sad, I have opened the possibility for feeling glad, because there isn't the one without the other. There isn't a distance between them. The difference between them is abstract. It's a, you could say, the idea sad and the idea glad are metaphors. You can't, um, substantiate them. They don't really exist without each other. They depend on each other. They define each other, like light and dark, and day and night, and alone and together, and wealthy and poor, alive and dead, all these things. The difference between them, the contrast between them, is metaphorical or prosaic or academic. It exists in the realm of thought or emotion, but it doesn't concretely. You can't wrap it. You can't find it somewhere. Reading you. Right. So we need to understand that our world, our mental image of the world is a mental image. And our emotional experience is an emotional experience. Neither of them are concretely exist. We exist, or we are there. We are the fixed point, whereas these thoughts and these ideas and these metaphors and these emotional experiences pass. We remain. We don't change. The whole idea that there is a change, that there is a different me waiting tomorrow, or that yesterday I was different, is again metaphorical. It's a way of speaking. When you think about it, even for 5 seconds, that's enough. You understand that you haven't changed one bit since the day you were born. You are the same you. It isn't that every day there's different you. You change your identity with each year or day. That's not like that. You may generate different thoughts and different experiences based on those thoughts, but you remain the same you always. So that leads to understanding. When you practice that and you actually say, aha, I have this experience, not I am sad or I'm glad, I'm frustrated or I'm satisfied. That's not you. Those are feelings. Feelings pass, like the scenes in a movie or the landscape when you drive through it with a car. That passes, but you remain the same. As a matter of fact, when you drive in your car through the landscape, that is also an image, that is also a story. Actually, you remain the same. You don't move, even a millimeter. The landscape, the image of the landscape and the road moves under you or beside you. We used to think about it in the other way around. We say the landscape stands still and I move through the landscape. But that's very strange because I am always the same, whereas the landscape, the world around me is changing. I remain stable. So we have strange reversals. And from these reversals, there is a lot of suffering because we think, um, where was I before? We think that we can fail or we can succeed, or we must not fail because that indicates that we're wrong somehow. We're the wrong person or we are a bad person. But that's a strange way of thinking because you are always who you are, neither good or bad. You are you. So we have these strange habits of thinking, and you can easily make them, um, how do you say, um, disappear by uh, by simply acknowledging it. It's like saying, "Oh, um, this morning I woke up. I had a very strange dream in the night." That's enough. That's enough to acknowledge that you have this that you had this dream, this series of thoughts, this movie passing through your head, and by simply confirming, yes, that I had that dream, it dissipates. It you can move on. And of course, the interesting thing, and with you, Joel, I talked about this morning, um, is that we do not know for certain if we are awake or dreaming. It could be that in 5 minutes from now, we wake up and we say, "Whoa, I had a strange dream." We don't know. There's no way to tell. Okay, so it could be either, and it doesn't matter because we are the constant factor. Whether it is in the dream that all these scenes and all these things happen, or whether it is in what we know as reality, our daydream, our daytime world, we are the constant factor. The world changes day and night, and these people move around, and these hours pass through us, but we we remain the constant factor. We look at our watch, we say, "Oh, that's strange. The hours have passed." We haven't passed the hours. So the hours and the locations are temporary. They are um, interesting. They are circumstantial, but they're not more important than us. We invent what will happen next, where we shall go next in our dream or in our reality. Not the dream doesn't decide for us what will happen. You don't say, I was dreamt in this night. You say, I dreamt. It was my dream. And the same with the world around us. We think the ideas. The ideas don't think us. That's that is a very defeating and indeed depressing way of thinking. It makes you very sad if you say, "Oh, these thoughts control me." How can that be? I mean, who thinks them? So one of the things to do to restore your honor and to maintain it all the time is to simply confirm these are my thoughts, these are my ideas, these are my feelings and experiences which are based on my thoughts and my ideas and my beliefs and my opinions. But I'm at the steering wheel of my car, of my whatever, my reality or my dream, not the other way around. So whenever you lose control, and I um, have that experience a number of times every day, I'm sure many people do. Whenever you seem to um, lose control or be out of control, or um, you're confused as to what to do, um, simply confirm to yourself, this is my experience. And that immediately sits you back at the steering wheel, because it is true. It is your experience. It is my experience. When I confirm out loud, this is my experience, when I say that out loud, immediately the confusion dissipates. And I can look ahead and say, okay, what is the next step? What is the best thing to do? Either the mental confusion or the emotional chaos, they dissipate, they um, dissolve as a mist vapor on the road. It, you can see clearly again, because you are the one who sees clearly or not clearly. So by simply confirming, this is my confusion, or this is my thought, you reconnect between you and your world, your experience, and then the the confusion or the chaos uh, lifts, because you acknowledge that it is yours. You don't need to um, carry it with you anymore, because you've seen, this is, I produce this confusion, I produce this emotional chaos. Okay, and then you do the next thing, because the chaos and the confusion are not as real as you. It is self-defeating, it is depressing to think that they, the confusion, the chaos, the sadness, the happiness, all these things, are more real than you who experiences them. That is very self-defeating to think that way. So by simply confirming, this is my feeling, or these are my opinions. Sometimes we get angry at the opinions of other people or at our own opinion. But by simply confirming, this is my opinion, you'll get back at the steering wheel. You acknowledge that these feelings are less solid and less constant and less durable than you. So we need to, by simply confirming these things, we need to reverse the order of things, because it seems very often that the world is bigger than us who imagine this world, who think this world. It cannot be that the ever-changing world, in every second it changes, is more important or more solid than we who remain constant. It's a very strange way in which we human beings think, to reverse these things, to think that the world is constant and that we are moving through it. That is a very strange way of lying to ourselves, in fact. And again, it it sets us up for the feeling of failure or frustration. We never get it right, and it always is different. It always turns out different from how we want it to be. And one day it's one time it's better, and another time it's worse than we thought, and all these things. Whereas if you make it a habit to say, this is my experience, this is my opinion, this is my feeling or observation, then you return to yourself and you feel again the honor that you have and the pride that you're doing all these things or that you have all these experiences. Some experiences are negative, others are positive, but you are the constant factor. And it gives you a great sense of satisfaction at the end of each day, or even a few times during the day, to know, hey, I'm still here. Look at all these moments, or all these events, or all these feelings who went past, but I'm still here. So apparently, I'm doing something right. Okay. Um, Something says here that there's one person watching. That's very strange. Okay. Um, Perhaps people come and leave and you will see it later. That's quite possible. Any questions? Is anybody here? I'm looking here through the remarks. I don't see anything special. All right. We've been live for a half hour. I think that's fine this time. Next time I will go more into this idea of the landscape passing when we drive through it and we are stable. It's a very strange discovery when you discover that time and space are abstract notions. We are concrete. Every day when you wake up in the morning, it's the same you, okay, as when you go to bed. When you go one place, you fly to Amsterdam or you fly to New York, it's the same you who arrives in those places. Okay, so that doesn't change. But we think the other way around. We imagine that that the world is stable and that we change. And that's a very interesting topic, and I hope to talk about that more next time. Meanwhile, um, I wish you well. I seriously suggest you confirm a few times a day out loud, this is my opinion, or this is my experience, or these are my feelings. When doing so, you gain back your self-esteem, your sense of that you are valuable. That is my experience, and I strongly suggest you do the same. And we will talk next time. And I wish you well. Good night from Amsterdam.